also have Councillor Elisha Stoll, who is the Secretary General of the Alternative National Congress. As you're aware, there have been some breaking news today, so thank you, Councillor Stoll, for joining us. How are you doing? Let's get you here to make sure we got you on.
Thank you very much, Leo. It's my pleasure joining you, and I hope we have a fruitful and rewarding discussion.
Thank you. Prince from Liberia, can you hear us there? Are we clear?
Yes, you're clear on the radio, and I'm getting you on the live and clear. Let me see. Also to Councillor for still.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And so we will get right into it. We have some interesting developments today at the NEC with the latest ruling that has just come up. But before we go into it, Councillor Stoll, can you tell us exactly what the NEC ruling was today?
So let me just read. Let me read a few things to you. I just share with you a copy of the ruling. So if you check your WhatsApp, you see the ruling on page 3. The last sentence on page 3 of the ruling from the NEC today, it reads, hence, unless the CPP's framework agreement filed with the National Elections Commission of Liberia on July 14th, 2020 is amended by the parties or is judicially declared invalid, the National Elections Commission of Liberia will have no option but to uphold the parties, but to hold the parties to the terms and conditions contained in the said document. That is the ruling from the Elections Commission. And if you look at the last page, the last part in the last paragraph, the Elections Commission therefore concluded that the National Elections Commission of Liberia is hereby prohibited from taking any further action on any endorsement form or other documents put forth by the defendants, meaning Unity Party and the ALP, herein regarding the fielding of a candidate until otherwise determined. These are the exact words verbatim from the ruling of the Elections Commission. In simple terms, what that means is that the Elections Commission says they recognize the framework document that was filed by the CPP, and until the CPP can amend the framework document that was filed with the Elections Commission, or a court can declare the framework document invalid, the Elections Commission will continue to recognize the framework document and hold every party to the framework document accountable to the terms and conditions therein. Therefore, under that condition, the Elections Commission says she's not going to move forward anymore to do anything with any candidate who is put forward by a constituent party of the CPP in terms of filling them in any elections until a court can determine whether or not any clause in the framework document is unconstitutional or not. So, in simple terms, that's what the Elections Commission said today.
And thank you, Councillor Stoll, for walking us through what the ruling of NEC was today. Now, before I go any further, maybe you should allow our viewers here, from your perspective, as someone who's been very involved with this case on all levels, being the Secretary General of the ANC, but also being one of those directly named on the other side with the proceedings that's going on at the court. What do you think this ruling means, whether for ANC, but also for the opposition, for the CPP? What do you think, in your opinion, that this ruling today, what does it mean? What is the context? What's going to happen given this ruling?
What this ruling means is that it's not only for the CPP, but it's for also future political parties. What the NEC is saying is that political parties need to be careful when they enter into alliances. And under no condition will the Elections Commission condone a political party. And whenever she feels dissatisfied for political reasons, and then she frames up a story to want to get out of an alliance without any justifiable cause. If you want to do that, the Elections Commission is saying you have to use a court. You have to go to the court to declare that particular document that you are disclaiming invalid before you walk out. But the Elections Commission is not going to permit any party that committed herself initially to just walk out anytime she feels like.
So when I hear you say that, Councillor Toll, then in my mind, I'm saying that means Unity Party is still part of the CPP in your mind, technically, as much as, because if you're saying they haven't walked out properly, based on what I'm deducing here from your comments, can you then say that Unity Party, as far as you're concerned, is still part of the CPP?
All I can tell you is Unity Party is hooked.
Yeah, but, okay.
Unity Party is hooked.
Yeah, but do you still consider them part of the CPP? As a
all I can tell you is that Unity Party is hooked.
Okay, fair enough.
Look, let me tell you something. The Unity Party, I can't tell. I'm not the only authority within the CPP. I happen to hold one position within the CPP. But there are several provisions in the framework document, even if the Unity Party was to still, assuming but not admitting they are still within the CPP, the Unity Party has not paid any dues. It's been almost 2 years now, they've not paid any dues. And the framework document says if you don't pay dues, you will be booted out. So I can't say, assuming that they are assuming but not admitting that they are within the CPP, there are many clauses that can kick the Unity Party out. They haven't paid a dime to the CPP.
So I will conclude by saying that given the fact that this ruling by NEC today, and given the fact that you were saying that by everything we've seen, based on what the withdrawal clause in the CPP framework document says, that Unity Party did not go by it. So that means Unity Party is still a constituent party within the CPP legally when we look at it on paper.
I don't have the authority to determine whether or not the Unity Party is still within the CPP or is not within the CPP. All I know, the Unity Party Executive Committee wrote a resolution removing themselves from the CPP. So that resolution still stands.
But that's not what the rule says, though. The framework document doesn't say that you have to go write a resolution to remove yourself from the CPP.
No, it says that, but you have to follow other procedures. It says, look, if you want to get yourself removed from the CPP, follow the internal conflict resolution mechanisms, and after exhausting them, then you can write a resolution by executive committee. Two-thirds of your executive committee should write a resolution. Then you can pull out of the CPP. However, as soon as you pull out, you are not going to field candidate in your own name.
Okay.
So the UP did not follow that withdrawal mechanism. She rushed and she was ill-advised, and she moved and wrote a resolution and withdrew and notified the Elections Commission. So technically, the Unity Party has withdrawn. But now the clause that is holding them is they cannot field candidate in their own name.
So let me say this. There has been and there continues to be a lot of frustration among a lot of people who were extremely hopeful when the idea of the CPP, and it took Liberia by storm, as you could see in the elections that the CPP participated as a unit. So a lot of people have been very disenchanted, very frustrated, many of whom are not even supporters of the government, support these opposition parties, but I've been disenchanted by the way things are going. Given the ruling today, can you then say there are winners and there are losers? And if so, who are the winners, who are the losers?
The Liberian people are the losers. And it is unfortunate that the arrogance and the greed and the selfish ego of the are you hearing me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead, Councillor.
It is unfortunate that the greed and the selfish ego and the arrogance of the Unity Party has brought disappointment to the Liberian people. The Liberian people depended heavily and wholeheartedly on a unified CPP to unseat the decadent Wiaz administration. That the arrogance and the selfish ego of the Unity Party, supported by the wayward behavior of Benin Ayu and the ALP, to dash the hopes of the Liberian people at this level. Shame onto the Unity Party and shame onto the ALP.
So then I would say, Councillor To, can you also hold yourself accountable as the ANC? Because you are part of this. You can say when the good side comes, the ANC take the good part of everything that's happening. But then when the trouble reaches and you say, are you telling me that the ANC has absolutely no part whatsoever to play in everything?
I'll tell you one thing. You have to follow. I think you have followed the history of the CPP. Everything was fine in the CPP until the Unity Party began to think that the standard bearer is supposed to receive coronation, unchecked coronation, that he's supposed to be the standard bearer. And the moment the ANC said, look, we have a framework document that calls for primary, that calls for competition. We too have interest. the United Party got involved in all kinds of devilish schemes. First was the introduction of the concept of black voting, which was not even part of our understanding. And that was to mean that they were going to gang up, mastermind their various executive committees, remotely control them, sign resolution, and say we have voted for our candidate. We resisted that in the ANC, and we said we have to be democratic. If we want to serve as alternative to the real administration, then we have to remain democratic. So the framework document said we should go to primary, and we insisted that we'll go to that. When that did not work, they came up with all kinds of subterfuges, hoping that the ANC, they knew about this clause. They knew we included it there. They thought by sidelining and alienating the ANC would have gotten frustrated and said, look, we can't make our money 3 parties, so let's work out. But we knew the game. We said we'll remain there, we'll sell our case, our candidate to the Liberian people, and we'll see we'll win. We invited the United Party to a primary. They refused. They ran away. They claim to be popular. They claim to have vision. They claim to have knowledge.
So let me hold you to a point. So, Councillor, let me hold you to a point then. If ANC, being a law-abiding party, has been in the CPP, realized that for over a year, a major part of the framework document was being violated. That is the non-payment of dues, because according to the framework documents, any constituent party that refuses or reneges on paying its due requirement for a protracted period could be kicked out of the CPP. I'm wondering, so can we say ANC is a party to this then by sitting and remaining quiet and not activating the clause that could have removed those parties that were not meeting up with their due paying engagement, for example?
Look, let me say this to you, Leo. The ANC is aware that the United Party was in violation by not paying her dues. What was important to the ANC at that particular time was a united opposition to unseat WIA. We believe that it was more important to remove WIA from power, to liberate the Liberian people, than going after the United Party for not paying dues. The ANC is still committed to the idea of a collective opposition to remove this backwards regime from power. But at the same time, we are aware that what was more important as a matter of priority to the ANC was to remove WIA by the use of a collective opposition rather than chase a united party that was defaulting its due payment. So yes, we knew that there was violation of the framework document, but we were both evils on one scale and realized that it was more important to focus on removing WIA through a united opposition than to kick out a united party because she was not paying dues.
Now, that argument will sound good to your partisans, but I hear people now who are frustrated. Some of the people are saying that, okay, because you flaunted with the rules, because your focus was moving President WIA from power, didn't you then, what will you say to people who say you opened the Pandora box? Because if you flaunt one rule now, why wouldn't you flaunt another rule to allow you, all of a sudden, if your focus is moving President WIA, why then are you not willing to do whatever United Party says for the sake of moving President WIA from power?
So assuming that we flung the rule that you just made reference to, by now removing the United Party for non-payment of due, that was intended to keep the opposition together. It was not intended to break the opposition. So we intended to keep the opposition to remove WIA. Here the United Party is breaking the rule to disintegrate the opposition.
Because you refuse to accept their other demands, now you flaunted the first rule by allowing them to not pay dues, break the framework, violate the framework, and remain. Now they are saying our standard bearer should be coronated for the sake of removing President WIA and keeping the opposition united. Someone may ask you, then why didn't you accept that? And Honorable Alexander Cummings go as VP to Joseph Boakai then for the sake of removing President WIA?
So why Joseph Boakai can go as VP to Alexander Cummings?
Because ANC accepted United Party breaking the framework document rules, so United Party feels they can make ANC.
The ANC did not accept the United Party breaking the rule. We did not pursue them. Not pursuing an option does not mean you accept the option.
Fair enough.
Based on conditions, you could refuse to pursue a particular course of action, which the ANC did. By not pursuing the UP, by not insisting that the UP be removed from the coalition because she was not paying her dues. But that was not a sign of acceptance on the part of the ANC.
Fair enough. So clearly, NEC has referred this matter to the Supreme Court in part of their ruling that, in their opinion, there's a constitutional question here that they do not have the authority nor the jurisdiction to answer or rule on. They will only go by what they have. The question being asked of them is a question for the Supreme Court. So what would you say are the next steps now for each party, especially for your side? What would you see as the next steps?
Look, usually under the practice, there are times that a judge will rule or like the NEC and certify the case to the Supreme Court. In this ruling, the Elections Commission did not certify this case to the Supreme Court. The Elections Commission said it recognized the existence of constitutional issues.
For the sake of our audience, Councillor Toh, can you explain what that means when you say certain?
So it means they were if the NEC wanted to request the Supreme Court for interpretation, they would have sent the case up to the Supreme Court. The NEC did not do that. The NEC said we recognize the existence of constitutional issues. So until those constitutional issues are disposed of, we're not going to allow any party to break the terms of the CPP agreement. It is left with the United Party to take appeal, which they did. I hope they will follow the appeal process. And I think the first stage will be they will have to go before the entire Board of Commissioners, to hear their appeal, which I think is going to be denied. And then they will proceed to the Supreme Court of Liberia, where the Supreme Court is going to invite all of the parties to make their various arguments, constitutional arguments. And the CPP will be arguing about the constitutional validity of the framework document. The United Party and ALP will be arguing this time that the framework document is the framework document, the exit clause violates Article 17 of the Liberian Constitution, which allows people to associate and disassociate. We are going to be making another argument that the same Constitution calls for the respect for the sanctity of contracts, that the government should make no law, take any action to interfere with private contracts. So those are constitutional arguments. The Supreme Court will have to weigh which right is more important than the other, considering the intent of the parties to the framework document. What did they intend when they were forming the CPP? Was it the intent of the parties to meet together and remove Joshua, or was it the intent of Benani Ure to influence the United Party to pull out when his wishes were not met?
Okay, so Prince, you are on the ground there in Liberia. So let me see, based on so far what we've heard from Councillor Toh here and some of the developments you yourself have been following on the ground, are there any questions you want to maybe follow up with Councillor Toh?
Yes, thanks. We have a few questions for the councillor. Let me say, welcome, Councillor Toh, on the show. We expected you last night, but due to other reason you couldn't come on. But tell you here today after the NEC has ruled into the case before it filed by the CPP, meaning that from your complaint, it tells me like that you are saying, it tells me that you are considering the related party as being part of the CPP because you did not file a complaint as the other party and ANC, but you said the CPP. So I have a few concerns. So, Councillor, the first question here is when you asked who's the loser here, you said the Liberian people. There have been this rumor around town that you, the ANC, was planned within the CPP by government to jeopardize the CPP and the plan to unseat the weird government that you have consistently said that has been your quest. So since, in fact, this action, Liberians are the loser, how then do you vindicate yourself from the allegation? Since, in fact, the collapse of the CPP leads to the Liberians being the victim, being the loser in this case. That's the first concern.
Firstly, let me just address that concern. If you hear anyone telling you that the ANC was planted within the CPP to undermine the effectiveness of the CPP so that to work for the government. Look, let me ask you one question, Prince. Among the 4 political parties in the CPP, which of the political parties or political leaders have been more vocal on Joshua than any other? What has Joseph Boyka said about Joshua? What has Mo Ali said about Joshua? What has Ami Moda said about Joshua? More than what I have said about Joshua and Elizana Kumi said. So who's working for Joshua? Now, let them tell you which of them when Nathaniel Magebe.
But Council, that would be a political trait or tactics.
Just hold on, please. Let them tell you. That's United Party propaganda. Let United Party tell you who official ran Nathaniel Magebe recently. Was it ANC official? It was United Party official who ran Nathaniel Magebe. So who's working to honor the CPP? It's the United Party. Whose party chairman can go to Nathaniel Magebe in Texas at night? It's the ANC. Go and ask United Party. So they better keep quiet, keep shut up. And while they are playing double games, we know their whole games. They should start playing double games.
All right. So the second question is: so do you think you're collapsed as a political, the major opposition party? As a matter of fact, because I followed the ANC, the ANC, the United Party, and the other party, along with the All Liberian Party, where you have this collaboration working. You have press conferences together, and you hold government feet to the fire. Do you think your collapse has given this the government more free ride, more change? And I mean, with all the happenings, there's no press conferences, there's no joint press statement for the collaboration political parties. I can remember you had that voice together, protest the opposition joined into a chamber. But since this rigmarole started sometime last year or to this year, do you feel that you're giving the government more right, just free right to just do anything and just go where you feel it? Do you think so?
It appears to be a temporary triumph of George Weah and the CPP, their distraction within the CPP. Apparently, it is a momentary triumph for George Weah, but the forces of good will reunite. The democratic forces in this country will reunite. And eventually, there's going to be they're going to emerge a collective and stronger opposition to unseat George Weah.
Do you have time for that, Council?
We have time
for that?
And
we are working.
And let me
networking.
And Council, let me do an important follow-up on Prince's question. I think that's a great question. So let me ask you, Serena Seaforth, the Solicitor General, just announced recently that in fact he's doubled his witnesses from 17 to 34. Do you think Mr. Alexander Cummings will be able to run a campaign against the ruling establishment while in court facing charges of forgery with the CPP framework document? Do you think he will be able to do both?
There's nothing under the law that stops Alexander Cummings from running effective campaign. The only thing he has to do is to be in court anytime the court wants to hear the case.
So great.
So unless the court can say, look, we'll hear the case every day, then Alexander Cummings will attend court for the hours that the court want him to be there. Other than that, he's going to be all through the country to campaign.
And
so
you really think, Councillor Toh, let's be
that is feasible. Let me tell you something. There are other legal options available to our legal team, and we're going to explore all of those options. We're going to act, and the Labrampo are going to hear from us very soon.
Oh, true. I mean, we will wait for that, but for you to tell me, I think our viewers themselves will want to know for you to tell me that Mr. Alexander Cummings can be facing. We've seen the frequency of the trial so far. It's been almost every week to tell me Alexander Cummings will be 1 second paying attention to it. Right now, Alexander Cummings had the opportunity. I surely think every week he would have been putting out a press release propagating his messages and hitting the government hard. Unfortunately, we're seeing a long period of Alexander Cummings not being able to really forcefully do like he was doing before the court case started. We've seen a difference. I think the Liberian people have seen that very clearly.
I think you listened to Alexander Cummings 2 days ago. He spoke on a range of national issues that no political leader has done because they have no vision, they have no ideas. And you will also agree with me that Alexander Cummings is in the communities. Just day after tomorrow, he's going to go to District 14. A few days ago, he was in District 12. So in as much as this came by Ben and Ayure for the benefit and involvement of the Unity Party, is intended, sponsored by Nathaniel Magee, is intended to stifle Alexander Cummings. We are aware of their politics.
So let me rephrase the question that way for you, Councillor Toh. We just saw the scenario with Honorable Brian Samokai, who were in his own legal situation by the courts, and he managed to put out a successful campaign, win a senatorial seat in Lofa County, and boom, the case ended the way it ended. And we saw, so what makes you think that Liberians will not be afraid and worried that, okay, fair, Mr. Cummings will have the ability and the machinery in place to still run a successful campaign? What makes you think Liberians will not be afraid? Okay, while he runs a campaign and boom, he loses the case at the court, and now all of a sudden he's considered a convict too. What makes you think Liberians don't think that same scenario can be replayed?
Well, the first thing, the Supreme Court did not just send Brandon Samuka to jail. They gave him option to repay the money. I think within 6 months. Was it within 6 months? It was upon his failure to pay.
Yeah. And they said he cannot take a seat.
Yes, but hold on. The court said you have to. I think it was tied in with the payment of the money. The court did not declare his seat null and void. So the court said pay the money before you can take a seat, but he could not pay the money within the time stipulated. Now, mind you, Brandon Samuka was charged with a felony. What Alexander Cummings and myself and other guys are charged with is misdemeanor. Mm-hmm. So the grades they are not the same. There is no law in this country that prevents Alexander Cummings from contesting elections Even if you were to be found guilty, that's the first thing. We're going to challenge it. There's going to be no guilty verdict.
So do you really want you and your party's standard bearer to have to be fighting this kind of information out in the public every day while you're running a campaign? You think this is a mess?
This is the job you need to do. That's the intention of Ben and Ayure, funded by Nathaniel Magay, because the CL is another Cummings as a force to reckon with. So what I want to do is to keep him focused on the court, to obstruct his campaign. This is their plan, and so we have to use our strategies that we have devised already to counter that. So that while they think they are holding us, we are going to be taking our message to the Liberian people.
So I'll give you one question, and Prince, I can allow you to follow up with some of your questions here. How in the first place was the ANC not able to avoid being part of the opposition that ended up in President Weah's court anyway? Everything we said about President Weah, everything the opposition has said, had laid out about President Weah court being, the courts in Liberia being corrupt, the courts being, subject to bribery, the courts everywhere. These reports have been flown apart by the opposition party. So how in the world is it already not a defeat that the same opposition that said they were better than President Weah, the same opposition that said President Weah court needed to be fixed because it's corrupt, because judges are... How did you end up to now be subject to that very court deciding your fate?
Do you trust the court?
How did Jesus Christ end up in being Pontius Pilate's court?
Oh, Jesus Christ ended up being in Pontius Pilate's court by being wrongfully taken by the very ruling establishment. You were not taken by the ruling establishment. You took yourself to President Weah's court.
The ruling establishment used an
Jesus'
agent.
disciples did not take him and sell him to...
The ruling establishment used an agent within the CPP, a Judas Iscariot called Ben and Ayure, to sell Alexander Cummings.
You call him an opposition. You signed an agreement with him. You should have done... Shouldn't you have done your due diligence?
Wasn't Judas a disciple of Jesus? Couldn't Jesus have done due diligence with Judas?
Well, Jesus knew, based on what Jesus said, he was aware.
And we knew Ure. We knew Ure from his past, and we knew he could become a sellout, and he proved himself.
Okay, Prince, I'll let you go ahead, Prince.
So interesting to the Councillor. So, Councillor, I have a few concerns. So, Councillor, for the benefit of our listening audience, could you just name the official of your CPP, your collaboration that goes to the Minister of State House that is being planned? Could you name that for the benefit of the listeners?
Ask the United Party which of their official rent Nathaniel Magay paid recently, 2 years rent. Go and ask the United Party.
I mean, we don't have any evidence.
As a chairman, as a secretary general.
We don't have any evidence to that. But here's a question I will ask you.
Let me just
go ahead, Prince. Sorry, Prince. Yeah, Prince, go ahead.
Yeah, before you come in. So Council, the United Party or the defendants parties have consistently said that the clause that you put in them back does not exist. They are not aware of that. And the second thing, they said that the constitutional aspect of the case or of your complaint is above the jurisdiction of the NEC. So the NEC should have even hear the case rather. Just trust the case and send you to the Supreme Court. You are a counselor, you are a lawyer. Why do you make that argument?
No. Let me tell you something. The Supreme Court has power over certain cases. They have original jurisdiction, appellate jurisdiction. So there are certain cases that are identified as having original jurisdiction. The Supreme Court having original jurisdiction over.
Well, you first let's start with does that clause exist in your freedom document? The 8.52.
You mean the essay clause? Yes, it does exist. Let me tell you something. There are chains of email. You realize recently we raised an alarm to the court. Serena Cephas and Ben Nigeria removed all of the emails communication of the CPP from June 2020 to August 2020.
The Solicitor General did that. Why?
Solicitor General Serena Cephas and Ben Nigeria, when they were submitting the evidence to the court.
So Ben Nigeria is the one who is the implemented. He goes to the
yes. Ure is an agent within the CPP. I've said that several times, so I'm not even going to back down on that. But the point is, let me say this. So the court requested them to produce all chat, WhatsApp chat room conversations of the CPP. And you know what they did? They presented everything from the formation of the CPP and stopped up to the point of May 2020. They did not include the communications of the CPP from June 2020 to August, where the decision of their acceptance and approval of the lawyer's version, the lawyer's amendment were made. So he realized when we raised that issue to the court, Serena Seaforth was almost mute. But these are pieces of evidence we are going to introduce, where even Tudor Momo, who has been acting chairman of the ALP for 6 years, I don't know whether they don't have elections in the party. How can you have a political party you don't have elections? Up to this point, from the time he was appointed, he's been acting chairman.
So Council, let me just join in there before Leo comes in. So this brings me to the point that I don't care what you do. I mean, you cannot get money from the court if you are telling me that the Solicitor General do away with evidence or pieces of evidence. What are your facts in his court?
No,
what are your facts in this case?
It's not a court. The Solicitor General is not a court. We have a judge, Juma Jala, who is hearing this case, and they have other judges. So Juma Jala is going to make his determination based on the evidence gathered. So Serena Seaforth is trying to manipulate the process. But there's not a court that is manipulating the process.
What is the interest for that? What is the interest for his manipulation of the case?
Serena Seaforth wants to be justice minister. He wants Musa Dean's job. And so, as you know, his whole plan is that he removed Cabinet Janet. And so he's promised the Weah administration that if he can prevent Elizana Cummings from running, he wants to be justice minister. That's Seaforth's motivation.
All right. So let me ask you two quick questions in quick rapid fire here. Do you trust the Liberian judiciary or do you trust the courts? Just a quick answer to that.
There are challenges with our court. As a lawyer, I can for professional and ethical reasons, I cannot tell you that I don't trust the court. Otherwise, why am I?
No. I want to know, do you trust the court? I don't need you to qualify it.
At that point, I'm not going to speak as a politician. I'm going to speak as a lawyer, and I cannot tell you that I do not trust the court.
Okay, then let me ask you. Why is CPP not fielding a candidate in Lofa County?
The CPP have no candidate in Lofa County. The CPP could field a candidate, and as I tell you, the Elections Commission says no, because we don't have any candidate at this time in Lofa County.
So in a major county like Lofa, which is one of the largest reach votes county, that I will assume that if Mr. Cummings is to win the Liberian presidency, will have to do well in Lofa. Whether he wins it or not, that's a different case. But we'll have to do well in the county of Lofa. You're telling me you willingly decided to remove yourself from an entire by-electioneering process within Lofa County?
No, you are wrong. This is why. When Elizana Cummings was tenure bearer was chairman of the CPP fielded Brownie Samuka as the candidate of the CPP.
Correct. Yep.
Meaning your seat is your seat. Meaning a seat that the best contested now is your seat.
It's your seat.
It's a CPP.
You should have gone for it.
So how come you don't have a candidate defending your seat?
No, you have to give me a chance. Let me
go ahead, Councilor.
The CPP believes that seat still belongs to Brownie Samuka. The election of Brownie Samuka has not been declared null and void by any court of competent jurisdiction. Brownie Samuka was elected to make a political decision for the Elections Commission to declare that seat null and void.
Councilor, come on.
Hold on 1 minute, I'm coming. Without a determination by a court of law, it's illegal and it could be challenged.
So you will challenge after the election, Councilor?
Hold on. If anybody wins that seat, that person will be challenged, and the Supreme Court will have to make a determination whether the by-election is a legal by-election or it's not. The argument could be made that Brownie Samuka still remains the constitutionally elected
So then why are you wasting all our time trying to stop UP from fielding a candidate in an illegal process that you shouldn't be bothered with anyway?
We are not stopping UP from fielding a candidate in Lofa. We are telling them to respect the terms of the framework agreement.
But it is an illegal process that they are participating in according to you.
Any county. We are setting precedents. It could be in Grand Crew. It could be in Grand Crew.
But if it was Councilor, I mean, call you
the local process is illegal, but if it is in Grand Judah, it's not going to be illegal. So then you can act. UP is disqualified from fielding candidate anywhere.
So you can act when it's illegal, but why would you be even wanting to get involved in an illegal process? It seems like you decided to not field a candidate because in your mind.
That's what we are saying. We're not getting involved, but the UP
so cannot bother UP for going to almost like somebody decide to go do their criminal activity, and you say in the process the person doing that criminal activity, they're breaking one of your rules, so you go to the criminal den to go fight them for doing that.
It's because they broke our rules. If they
In the
did not
criminal
break our, if they did not break our rules and they just gone to the local election, nobody will bother them. It's because they broke our rules, and
Well,
we'll
so-
have to hold them to our rules.
So they broke your rules participating in an illegal activity. So my
By
point is,
filling a candidate,
yeah.
by filling a candidate after withdrawing from the CPP.
So all the resources, and you go in, if you think you are right that election is illegal anyway, so you go to all of these resources, all of this time to challenge the UP for breaking your rules. Then when somebody win again, then you go back to the court now to say
that's not the point. That's not the point. If we want to
the process
if we want
now
to be bothered with that elections in
illegal.
Lofa, we will have stopped the elections. Other candidates are running. We are not bothered by those candidates. What we are concerned with is the UP disqualification to feed a candidate, and we are determined. So and this will go up to 2023.
So I will ask you one question, and maybe we can start looking at callers because I know time is fast spent on us. Prince, if we can just get things set up there. Here's what I would say to you: if this continues up to 2023, first of all, President Weah is the president, is the seated president. He has the machinery at his disposal. Let's be fair. He's ahead of the opposition when it comes to campaigning, first of all, because any seated president, by default of them being seated, have the bullet pulpit. We all know that. So let me ask you, if they're supposed to drag on up to 2023, can you see any scenario at all for former Vice President Joseph Boakai and Honorable Alexander Cummings working together? Any scenario working together to ensure that the hopes of the Liberian people, in your opinion, are rekindled, given all that has happened? Because even if Vice President Joseph Boakai runs, let's say, and goes to second round, or Honorable Alexander Cummings runs and goes to second round, I don't see any pathway for either one of them winning an election without finding a way to rekindle. Do you see any scenario that is possible?
I'm not in a position to speculate. Anything is possible, but I hope that there's going to be a united opposition in Liberia to remove Josh Weah. We owe this to the Liberian people. We cannot dash their hopes and give Josh Weah another 6 years term.
So how are we going to do that?
So I'm just telling you, it's possible. It's possible. The leaders of the opposition community need to come back to their senses. The greed, the arrogance, and the ego of the Unity Party need to be set aside. And the Unity Party needs to understand that this country, if you want to take power, you have to go through democratic processes. This tendency of using propaganda, lies, and deceit to fool the people is not going to work. Now with some of us in the ANC, no, Unity Party is not going to get away with that. Never.
All right. So we will see. Can we maybe turn to our viewers a little bit? Prince, are we set? Are we set to?
Yes, yeah, Leo. I just want to ask just one a short question of maybe just one and a half question. Mm-hmm. So, Council, I have just two questions, just yes or no question also. The first one is, as a councillor, do you believe or do you think that Section 8.52 of your framework document it violates any right or any law? Is contrary against the Constitution? That's
no,
one.
It does not. It does not.
All right.
It does not.
The second one.
Let me tell you one thing. Let me explain that. Why I say.
Let me just be all two. Yeah. The second one is, if there's any collaboration, any political collaboration of the opposition that the Unity Party is part of, will you be pleased to be part of that collaboration?
I'm not in a position for hypothetical questions. We were in a collaboration with the Unity Party. And let me tell you, there are very good level-headed people in the Unity Party. I had an opportunity to speak to some lawmakers of the Unity Party a few days ago, even today. They are concerned what the way forward in this whole thing should be. They want to find a way forward. They want to see a united opposition. But there are some radicals and extreme fundamentalists within the Unity Party who don't want reason to prevail. They think they are entitled to this country. They think they should be given this country, which is not going to work. They have to work for it. So yes, there are many level-headed. No, get me through. There are many reasonable people in the Unity Party. There are many level-headed people in the Unity Party. Unfortunately, the radicals and the extreme fundamentalists in the Unity Party, they are the ones who continue to cause this trouble.
And Councillor Toll, just to that point quickly before we go to our lines here for callers, it baffles me when I watch both sides. Just as you are saying you are addressing the radicals in the Unity Party, there are radicals in the ANC that we've seen also who are tearing this apart. So how can you be saying in one breath that, oh, we want a way forward to move forward, and in the next breath, the ANC is tearing, their radicals are tearing apart the Unity Party, and the Unity Party radicals are tearing apart the ANC, but you still want to convince the Liberian people when nobody has put forth a common ground to say here is a genuine practical pathway for everybody only fighting for ANC fighting for its interest, Unity Party fighting for its interest, so the radicals are just rising up. How can you then say in the same breath that ANC is playing any better role than the radicals in the ANC? Are they better than the radicals in the Unity Party?
I'm not aware that there are radicals in the ANC, but I'm telling you,
there are people with very harsh words from the ANC.
You are entitled to your view, Leo, and I'm not going to disprove that. All I'm saying, I'm not aware of radicals within the ANC.
Okay.
But, let me tell you something. Folks within the ANC, and I can tell you this. If we didn't have Benin Ayure and the ALP in the CPP, probably we will still have the CPP right now. I can tell you. I mean, this is my personal opinion. This is not a position of the ANC of the ANC, and I can tell you from experience and what I know. If we didn't have Benin Ayure and his confucianists of the ALP, we wouldn't have ANC and Unity Party fighting like this.
So you're not blaming Unity Party anymore now. You blaming Benin Ayure now.
Just give me a chance. Yeah. Alexander Cummins and Joseph Boyka are very good friends. Very good friends. I talked to Alexander Cummins.
They are not looking like good friends right now.
Hold on. And both of them tell me how long they came. They are very good friends. But this man called Ure, who think he wants to be vice president of Ure, continue to cause confusion in the opposition community. Without Ure, there will be a united opposition. I can tell you that.
All right,
let me come to Prince's point. Prince made a point about the Constitution. And Prince,
yeah,
I want you to think carefully. You are not a lawyer, and you don't need to be a lawyer either. But are you there?
I'm getting you, Council. I'm getting you.
If you read the reliance of the United Party about the Article 17 in the Constitution to associate and to disassociate, let me tell you that. Let me read it to you verbatim. Article 17 says, all persons at all times in an orderly and peaceable manner shall have the right to assemble and consult upon their common good, to instruct their representatives, to petition the government or other functionaries for the redress of grievances, and to associate fully with others, or refuse to associate in political parties, trade unions, and other organizations. Now, pay attention to the language of the Constitution. You can associate with others or refuse to associate in political parties. There could be a technical argument whether that particular language of the Constitution is talking about your refusal to join political party, not to stay in political party. It's not clear there. And only the Supreme Court can interpret that. Okay. So the argument can be made that the 3 months of the Constitution were not seen when you're in political party already. They were referring to your refusal to join a political party. We have a situation where the Unity Party and the ALP willingly and voluntarily join a collaboration. And in joining, they say, look, if for any reason we want to leave tomorrow, you might let us to leave. But we're not thinking that they are owning. All of us agree to it. Then they want to back down to it? Come on, man.
Thank you, Councillor To. Prince, are we good there on your end?
Yeah, we are good. So I can announce the number so we can interact with members of the public. So this is the program focused on Liberia on Prime 105.5 FM with our panelists from the state. Tonight we have with us Councillor Aloysius Poole, Secretary General of the Alternative National Congress here in Liberia. He's come to discuss the ruling of the NEC today in the case involving the CPP and the Unity Party and that of the All Liberian Party. If you've been following, you want to call to make your point, call on 0770 1051, 0770 1051 is the phone line, 0770 1051, 0770 1051 is the local number that you can call to be a part of the program. Once again, 0770 1051, 0770 1051 is the number. We had a very first caller on the line. Let me see if I can take it right here. Good evening. What is your name? Where you call us from?
Good evening. This is J. Apaki Makambi calling from Broadview.
So can you get in, Leo?
Yes, we can. We can hear him. Councillor To, can
Go
you hear
ahead.
him?
Yes, I'm hearing him.
With regard to the issue at the court,
Yeah.
I just want to call the lawyers and the judges' attention that it was sometimes for that. If
We are not hearing him right now.
I
Can
think
you?
it is the individual during the time the was in fact, because he was mentioned within the indictment and agree with prosecutors that they were going to testify. In fact, as indictment and the case were prepared to testify. But somebody who are not traffic in within living outside, that is judicial harassment.
Thank you.
That is one of the judicial harassment. That is judicial harassment. I think the legal thing is going to judicial harassment against them.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We'll take more calls here. Good evening. Your name, where you call us from? I'm good. What is the name?
Thank you. My name is Sugar.
Make your point in just a minute. We don't have time.
Of question that Dodge. Councillor 2 and the leg of the unity party, the Liberty Party, or the other opposition political party. The people at the National Election Commission were setting pride. Today, they have taken themselves to the same court that they say that that court was not correct. So when a coach asked me what I trust the judicial system, say he is a lawyer, he cannot answer. I want him to understand that right now he's not speaking as a lawyer, he's speaking as the Secretary General of a political party who have been accused of forgery in one of in this country. So I want you to speak in that direction. Let me see the Council of Business and speak like the Secretary General for a political party. Because you cannot, you yesterday you say, Mohammed, I'm corrupt. In fact, I don't have the faith to stay in for you, to run on anybody against you. When you get out, you come out of it to lay a complaint. So where are we going today? You trust me. Yesterday you trust me. Today you trust me.
Thank you. We'll take another call on here. Good evening.
Good evening.
How you doing, sir?
Tonight.
Go ahead, William.
Thank you so much. It's so laughable to see our elder.
Go ahead.
The council say something that could not live in. Live in it as the article information. And it's not community respect friends. I haven't said about that political ambition. Showing that Honorable Yuri is the position. If they who keep their the whole DPP, what happened to benefit? The comments as vice president. What happened to Joseph Walker? So what is it? What the outside? When you forget about the so
Thank you so much. We'll take this other call on 0770-1051 here. The lines are just booming. The line is booming rather. Good evening. Oh, he slipped out.
Prince, can
Hello?
you hear the calls clearly from your end? It breaks in from outside.
yeah.
You are not getting them?
We're getting them off and on, but you can hear them clearly from your side?
Yeah, I'm getting that clear.
Okay, yeah, so let them go ahead.
Yes. How does it look, Leo? Is it okay with you?
This is Hillary calling from.
Is it okay, Leo?
It's okay now. It breaks in here and there, but it's okay. Let them go ahead.
Go ahead.
The councillor.
Mm-hmm.
The freedom that we put together. By the government should break up. Yes, by election, and government having to based on that document, you don't think Joseph Bakas will be held liable to an effect?
Thank you. I'm sure the councillor is hearing you. He is picking your question. You're going to answer them.
Hello.
Hello, sir. What is the name? Where you calling us from? Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much for the topic of the discussion tonight. For me, I 100% believe that I'm really frustrated in our candidate is on the basis of leading CPP, saying that indeed people have that mindset that indeed the whole race has something. So, that indeed will be said that there's other manipulating elections to win. They see that the reason they are afraid. So I'm very disenchanted.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for making your point. So keep your calls coming to 0770-1051. Civil Councillor Alasha Store in studio. Good evening. What's your name? Go ahead.
My brother, the councillor, the CPP, the ANC, because so long, whether they may not correct, they apply your all and visit. They must I do have been a project from
Thank you for making your point. He wants the opposition to be strong. Council 2023. Good evening.
I just wonder, this is my company back on the land reference today. I'm going to the Judicial Commission issue now. With regard to the issue at the Judicial Commission there, Judicial Commission should be in error. Because when the people fight, you are not people the case, why start somebody? Then that's the Supreme Court. Let us go there and Supreme Court stop. But you know when stop the people, they did it for the people again. Where are we going?
Thank you.
I don't know where the people are going.
Thank you so much for making your points there. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Prince. How are you?
I'm good, man. What is your name? Go ahead, you're listening. Council, hold on. Council, can you hear them?
Yeah, just the volume. It can break sometimes.
So wait. Let me.
I'm hearing you.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. Council, my question comes to you, sir. You said the both party or the collaborative political party, they have some level of individuals in the party, then they got the radical groups in the party. And I believe strongly, with a strong conviction, that you are one of the person with high level intelligence. Now, if you ever, when this thing begin, or it started, if you ever think that, the issue, it will not be good for us. So we say that one people with this call, if you ever did that, the second question is, no, you are saying that in your program, that the process that is illegal and you're trying to challenge or to stop another individual that from the same program from the CPP want to contest. Why?
Thank you so much.
That's my question to him.
Thank you. He's going to respond to them when we get back to you. Good evening. What is your name?
West Point tonight.
Go ahead from West Point.
Thank you very much. I want to ask Councillor for two simple questions. The way the putting a money is there, you don't get a president Georgie. Then the putting a money is there. They adding a Zoko there.
So you had to be hello, you had to be moderator on the radio. You had guests on the radio, right? So you had to be your choice of word. You had to watch them, please.
Okay, thank you, fam. I know I'm talking. I know I'm talking. So
I'm also telling you should be careful with your choice of word. Other than that, I mean, we're not going to allow you in the land, please.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. I understand.
All right, go ahead.
All that money is spent. Tomorrow, how they will rule this country? My question to this man.
Thank you. Good question. You 40 Emmanuel said you are not getting a seat here. If you become the ruling party, what are you going to do? Walk away from the radio, my brother or sister. Good evening. Hello? I'm getting you live. What is your name? All right, go ahead. Can you get a female? The female caller. Go ahead. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for making your point. Thank you. We'll take another caller. Good evening.
Yes.
You gotta walk away from the radio.
How you doing?
I'm good. What is your name?
William, calling you from this evening.
Go ahead, William.
My question to your counselor there is that if we don't see candidate in the country, or if Joseph Brackett don't go as the candidate for the general and presidential election 2023, what will Kumi do with the election? Do you think that Kumi is capable of winning or becoming a bad president in the country forever in his life?
Thank you so much. I love the questions that are coming. So interesting. We take calls 0770-1051, 0770-1051. This is the program Focus on Liberia here on Prime 105.5 FM in Monrovia. Of course, with our panelists from the United States of America. We have
another 2 to 3 questions and then give Councilor Todd a chance to answer, just so that we
two or three calls, right? Hello, you on the line? Go ahead.
Yes. I just want to
what is the name, my brother?
This is J. Atmake McCarthy. This guy one question. Georgia, please, very okay, want to call. I forgot what it said. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello? Hello? All right, we'll make the call. We'll take 2 more. We'll go back to the councilor. We'll go to the councilor in studio. We'll take this one for now. We'll take 1 more. Hello?
Hello.
How you doing? Walk away from your radio, my brother.
How are you?
Go ahead, I'm good. What is your name?
My name is Victor Brown, calling from Boston.
Go ahead.
My question is, the councilor said the framework document is when you're out, you can fit a candidate in your name. So what could the existence of a party that will be out of it and don't exist again? Because once you can fit a candidate, that will don't exist.
So what would it be? All right, so your question is why political parties sit when they get fewer candidates. That's the question, right?
Yes, that is a political party lead the framework that you lead the collaboration. You can see the candidate in the name. So what would be joining such an organization?
Thank you so much. Those are the legal questions. Of course, they've been asked. Or also, we'll take just 1 more call. From here, then we go to Leo in studio, and then Councilor will answer the question. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
How you doing? What is your name?
My name is Reverend Samuel from Pakistan.
Go ahead, Reverend.
Okay, I have one question for the councilor in studio.
All right.
When you asked the councilor as to whether there was no, the framework document.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as I'm concerned, there's no people constitution will be more than the constitution of Nigeria. So one question to the different manifesting there students is that the framework document of the CPP is it more stronger than the constitution of Nigeria? That's my question to Councillor.
Thank you so much. So Leo, that's it. We have tons of calls coming in, but we're gonna continue with the callers because the councillor got a bucket, a plate full of questions, I'm sure.
Yeah, and before I bring you in, Councillor Toh, we'll just take a few of our comments also from viewers who could not call in that put their comments on. So, or maybe Councillor Toh, I will let you respond since there was a barrage. Respond to this, and then I will read a few of our comments before we kind of wrap up here. You're muted, Councillor Toh.
Thank you very much. Firstly, to the last caller, the ANC constitution is not CPP framework document is not stronger than the Constitution of Liberia. In fact, the law says that the Constitution of Liberia is the highest law, is the organic law of the land. That any other law that is not in line with the Constitution of Liberia will not be law. So the CPP constitution is not in line. It's not more than the Constitution of Liberia. What is important for you to understand is that even though the Constitution of the CPP, which is the framework document, is not more than the Constitution of Liberia, but so too it is not violating any part of the Liberian Constitution. No, it does not violate any part of the Liberian. It's in line with the Liberian Constitution. In fact, if you read the Liberian Constitution, I think Article 79 of the Constitution that gives the Elections Commission the power to register political parties, it says that the parties should also file their constitutions. And the Elections Commission should make sure that the parties' constitutions are consistent with the Constitution of Liberia. The Elections Commission has a legal department, and that legal department can review every framework document or constitution that comes before it. In their determination, they realized that the framework document of the CPP was consistent with the Liberian Constitution. Now, how come they accredited the CPP? So the Elections Commission made a determination before they accredited the CPP that the constitution of the CPP was consistent with the Liberian Constitution. They read every word inside. Okay, so that's said about it. Then some of the general points that are made by the callers, so some of them are genuine points. But look, we have a situation in this country, and the other gentleman who said we're fighting among ourselves. I'm not aware of any political party that doesn't fight among themselves. In fact, in the CDC, before the top and Judicial and the other people were fighting, that led to the removal of Judicial. Is the CDC not in power right now? So that logic doesn't hold. In fact, the CDC was the most violent party in this whole country. They were fighting. In fact, I remember in one of their conventions in Bomi County, they started chopping people and all. So there's the CDC not in power, and I could call out no, it's a sedition. So that's why I'm trying to refer him to the history of his own party.
Oh, so you won't convert the man over in case the man wanted to convert over?
No, he will come. But I have to talk to him about the history of his own party. So, and then the other point is, look, this framework document, we sign it, all the parties sign it. In fact, one thing we notice is that all of these parties, they thought they would have ganged up against the ANC, and then the ANC was going to leave the CPP. And by the time the ANC left the CPP, then the ANC was not going to be qualified to field candidate based on a particular clause. They even engineered this particular clause, hoping to set it up for the ANC. We knew it. At some point, the ANC was contemplating leaving the CPP. But then our lawyers advised us that if you leave the CPP, the clause will hold you. So we said, we'll stay here and fight. We stay here and fight. They brought all of these things now. They can't catch the ANC. When they want to bring block voting, we said no, and it can't work. When they bring the other thing, we said no, it can't work. They said no. That guy want to say, we ain't signed nothing. No, we ain't signed nothing. Everybody ain't signed nothing.
Okay.
If you don't sign nothing, why are you lying? Why are you removing sheets of your own communication?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Why they did not file any complaint to any court or to the Elections Commission to challenge the framework document? They had to use Serena Seaforth. They had to use a Serena Seaforth based on sponsorship from Nathaniel Magay to come and harass the ANC. Like what one of the callers said, this is complete judicial harassment. It's complete. The government is using the courts to harass opposition in this country. This is judicial. It's not case. We don't have a case in court. There's no evidence. One thing you need to know is that Serena Cephas went to court without any evidence. One witness testified for him. Then he said, you know what? They must force the other people to come. So what the witnesses you are having, even before he filed the action, he has no witnesses. He said, they must force the other people to come testify for him.
All right, Councilor. Thank you. There.
One of the people, he said they should force to come testify for him. He said, me, I'm going to go testify for him. Serena Cephas. I don't joke there.
All right. All right. I'm pretty sure if I call Mo Ali or anybody from the Unity Party, their views would be quite opposite yours here. So let's leave it at that. Go to some of our comments. So we got a comment from Dennis Tane Cheuleja. Why is the NEC referring a case directly to Supreme Court? How about a Board of Commissioners? Would the lawyers representing the parties not know to go to the Supreme Court, then be directed where to go? I think Councillor To said
the NEC did not refer any case to the Supreme Court.
All right.
Any party that wants to go to the Supreme Court is free to go there. The NEC say the constitutional issue, she will not talk about it.
Yeah, so you can take it to where you want to answer.
Anybody want to take it there, they can take it there. So the NEC did not refer the case to the Supreme Court.
Okay, Maki S. Manu say, so Mr. To, can we now say you all violated the framework document by allowing non-due paying party remain in a collaboration?
I explained that.
I'm just reading to make sure contributors, I got their comments up here. Maki, we discussed that. I think I asked the question to Councillor To as well. Leo, please ask the councillor again. He knew Mr. Ure was a sellout according to him, but he still went in agreement with him. What was their objective? That's from Jimmy Eastman there. Thanks, Jimmy.
So look, this thing I've said it over and over. We knew Ure, and we knew Ure from day one. But like we are a group of forgiving Christians. We said to him, look, since you want to come and join us, we know you, but go and sin no more. And he said he was not going to sin again. Now he has come, he has become the same old Ure.
Okay, but then you should be Jesus Christ. They say when they slap you on one face, you turn the other face so they can slap you.
Not this time, I will give him one more back.
Okay, Matthew Deco, Councillor To in his PowerPoint presentation admitted to alterations to the framework document. He listed over 15 changes. I hope he can repost that video for all to see.
I think that person needs to go back to reading comprehension school. I never admitted to alterations, and I think I was reading the report of the committee. I didn't even make any presentation or any conclusion of my own. I was pointing out the committee own observations where they say in this one there's no alteration, there's no alteration, there's no alteration. So that guy probably he's a UP partisan.
Okay. Here we go, Matthew Deco. You've been a sign-up party, so you're on your own. Let's go to the next comment here. Flomo Livingston said, why did the NEC accept photocopy of the CPP framework document? I thought it's supposed to be the original copy. Did you guys file
again, the NEC said it. The NEC do not accept photocopies. So that was the photocopy. Where is the original? The NEC do not.
And why you were talking the code for us so you can produce the original.
This is what happened. The NEC, look, I don't know what's wrong with people's brains in this country. What was filed with the NEC was printed from a black and white printer.
Man, are the people you want to be president for? So you got to figure out.
No, but some people can just ask questions. I said they don't know what they're talking. Black and white, you have color printer and you have black and white printer. What was filed with the NEC? And we said it to the NEC. What was filed with the NEC was printed from a black and white printer. If anybody call out photocopy, so be it.
All right, we'll take a few more comments and then we'll come to you, Councillor To, for your your closing comments here so we can wrap things up. Go S. Muta says UP and ALP left the CPP. Why are guys still asking if ANC can be on their own?
Already. We don't need it. We don't need UP. We don't need ALP.
You heard that.
But you're going to court now. When you say go to court.
Oh, yes, because they don't have to field a candidate. And the other point I want to make about the other gentleman who made a point that, look, if somebody can field a candidate, not political party, the provision of that clause in the framework document is restrictive. It says you cannot field a candidate up to 2023 and 6 months thereafter.
Why? You're scared of the people in the 2023 election?
So after 6 months after 2023, if UP want to field candidate, they're free to do so.
So that was
2023, they will not field candidate.
So you're afraid of the people in the 2023 election?
No, that's the rule we made so that the opposition could not be disorganized. That's the rule all of us agreed to.
All right, Maki says, Mr. Toe, please make me to understand if there were any issues between ABC and Ben Ure that caused Ben Ure to sue ABC from a legal point of view. The last time I checked, political parties were in collaboration. So he's saying, were there any issues?
No, there's no issue. Ben Ure wants to be vice president to Joseph Boyka, and he thinks the only way he can do that is to get Alexander Cummings, because Alexander Cummings is fighting to be the standard bearer, and he was poised to defeat Joseph Boyka in the CPP primary. So all Ure has to do is to destroy Cummings so that he can have the chance to be vice president for Joseph Boyka. I'm not sure whether Ambassador Boyka can even take Ben Ure.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, viewers all over the world, thank you for joining us. We'll read the last comment here from C. Nancy Cole. Liberian courts are frauds, including most lawyers. Most of these lawyers are for the highest bidder. Thank you for your contribution there, Nancy. Councillor Toe wearing his lawyer hat may not agree with that. Who knows if he wears a different hat, what his thoughts might be. But I think we hear his answer wearing a lawyer. When he wears his legal hat as a councillor, I think
Nancy, the day Nancy fall in trouble and she needs a lawyer, that's the time she will not say lawyers are bad.
Okay. Yeah, but no, thank you to our viewers out there. Thank you, Prince, and thank you to all of those who have contributed. I know there were many more calls. Unfortunately, time is not on our side all the time. Is our greatest enemy when it comes to these kind of shows. And Councillor Toe, thank you so much. I will give you the opportunity to provide your closing comments here so we can wrap up the night.
Look, this thing is very simple. And these guys, they know what they are doing. They think they can use political crookology. The UP guys and the ALP guys, they think they can use political crookology to get their way through. But they are hooked. They are really hooked, like cockroach on a rook. Let them run to the Supreme Court. We'll meet them there. The Supreme Court is made up of reasonable lawyers, and the lawyers who can interpret the law. Anyway, interpret the law. Let the UP and the ALP go to the Supreme Court. We'll meet them there, and we'll defeat them at the Supreme Court.
Thank you very much, Councillor Toe. I want to repeat the sentiments that I heard from most of the callers, that they are practically begging that you guys should sort out whatever is going on with all of you guys so that our democracy can become stronger.
I agree.
Whatever is going on in the opposition, they are all hopeful and praying because they don't see any other pathway. Most of the callers kind of express that kind of sentiment. So I hope you guys are listening to your own people very well and behind the scenes doing what you can do, because at the end of the day, it would be great for Liberians to have to make a choice between two sides. I would love to hear the opposition preferring policies and ideas to contrast the government so that Liberians can make a choice between the policies and deeds of the sitting government versus other ideas coming from an opposition, rather than having to choose who losing the case versus who winning the case. So I hope the opposition can listen and hear those cries and try their best to get their acts together.
As soon as the UP puts its arrogance away, and as soon as the UP lets its ego, its selfish ego, goes and brought to our knees through the court process, the UP will come for dialogue.
I like how you're both accusing each other of the same crime. But Prince, thank you so much. Prince, thank you so much, Councillor Toe. I know it's late on your end there, you guys in Liberia. Thank you, everybody. It's been a great time. My name is Leo Johnson, and I came to you live from the beautiful country of Canada in Hamilton. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Leo, for being there. So this is a program, of course, focus on Liberia from the United States of America. Our panelists come from all over the world. Today, Leo joined us from Canada, and Saturday will be, sorry, will not be on tomorrow. Saturday will be, that will be 2 full hours presentation. Of course, Anthony Steve will be the host for the States, and with others from around the world. Our guest today has been Councillor Lasha Stowe, the Secretary General of the Opposition Alternative National Congress there from Liberia, and discussing the framework document of the CPP, the four collaborating political parties that has now been challenged at the court, and of course the Unity Party and the ALP been taken to the NEC by the Liberal Party and the ANC, stopping them from feeding Kennedy on their own OSA of the CPP agreement. I would say thanks to all the callers. This is how we come to the end of this show tonight. We're going to be again, like I said, on Saturday. Be good. Bye-bye.
We all love you.